Thank you for hanging around, folks. Of course, if you did leave us, we will find you, and you'll be sorry. So it's best that you stay there and protect yourself. No, I really hope you stay with us, because we have a great second half, and we have Rondy Brogdon. Brogdon. No, he's bragging about himself. Randy Brogdon.
I like that.
My goodness gracious.
That's got a senatorial name if ever. Rondy Brogdon.
That's right.
I like that.
Hey, you might change it. Talk to his campaign guy.
Rondy Brogdon.
Not that I've totally embarrassed myself.
Give him another cup of coffee.
All right. Wow. Randy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe Castelluni.
Touche. Good job, Randy. Way to go, buddy.
He's here with his lovely wife, and we thank you for being here. Randy, what possesses you to run for the U.S. Senate seat, which is going to be vacated soon, currently held by our
Tom Coburn.
Tom Coburn.
Right.
Why?
Well, the serious answer is I believe, Joe, that the greatest threat to our liberty and our economic prosperity is coming from Washington, D.C., and I want to help stop that threat. I'm concerned about my kids' future, my grandkids. I'm concerned that they're not going to experience this great American dream that I've experienced my entire life. We got some severe problems because of bad politics, bad policies from a lot of bad politicians. Joe, about 15 years ago, my focus changed from the business world to public service. And I have been pushing back and fighting against the abusive policies of Washington, D.C. from without. I'm ready to go right into the belly of the beast and continue that fight. So I feel compelled to do this for our future.
Well, Randy, I applaud what you just said. Now, if I was a cynic, of course I'm not a cynic.
Not at all.
But, we do hear this, right?
Sure.
I mean, no one ever says, I'm going to go to Washington so I can enrich myself and make some really fat bucks at the expense of the,
But it happens.
And yet, if you look historically, nothing changes.
Right.
If anything, things get worse. Now, here we have a relatively conservative Republican Congress, and they approve the continuation of the war on terror. I mean, to me, you think that thing would have been totally gone by now. It seems that we have turncoats would be a very, very light word. How do we take what you just said? And in other words, if I'm just a listener, I'm not here with you in the studio. I'm listening. I'm driving around listening. I said, all right, I heard this before. And I turn on to something else.
Right.
How do you convince anyone that you really are different and you're not the same as everybody else?
Yeah, well, and we've all heard that. And believe you me, I get worn slick with political two-stepping. I don't enjoy being around most politicians. I don't enjoy politics, but I'm a policy guy. And I can tell you that I will have a tremendous influence in the United States Senate because I will take the same tenacity and the same fight with me that I had serving the people of Oklahoma in the state Senate. Joe, I don't know how long you have been around here in Oklahoma or if you even know much about my history in the state Senate. Certainly the KFAQ listeners, they know.
They know big time.
Yeah, they know what I have been able to accomplish. And let me just run through the list very briefly so you'll know. When I talk about limited government, I truly mean it. When I talk about lower taxes and getting the federal government off of our back, protecting our privacy, all those kind of things, the Fourth Amendment, the things that most politicians love to talk about but rarely do anything about it, I did something about it. I wrote the Taxpayer Bill of Rights to protect the taxpayers on how fast government could grow from one year to the next. In order to protect, to know how much money the politicians spent, I wrote the Taxpayer Transparency Act. It is open records now. Anyone can go online and see the spending habits of the politicians. And let me tell you, their spending habits are pretty poor. In order to protect our property rights, I stopped the NAFTA superhighway from coming into the state of Oklahoma, confiscating 37,000 acres right here in this state to help the efficiency of government. In 2010, I wrote a constitutional amendment to for term limits for statewide elected officials. It was overwhelmingly passed here in this state. So my record and my rhetoric perfectly align with each other. I received a 100% constitutional conservative voting record 6 of the 8 years that I served in the Senate. I have a lifetime record of 93%. That's an A by anybody's standards.
Right. Very good.
2 of the gentlemen that I'm running against, I think you've maybe interviewed 1 or 2 of them, they have in the mid to low 70s average. So what separates me? It's my history of fighting for the principles that I cherish and I believe in, and I have fought to protect and hand down to the next generation. That is my goal, and it's a worthy goal that I think we all need to be vested in.
Yeah. Well, we just had a primary in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And in that primary, when you think about it, a very small percentage of the voters voted.
Yeah, it'll happen here too.
Right. Now, here's my take on it. I haven't done an analysis. But today, if a conservative Republican runs for office, you get the old codgers, the old neocons, they'll come out and they'll vote. The guy could be serving term for life imprisonment, they'll vote for.
Vote,
right.
They'll
vote for the conservative Republican.
Yeah.
The people, the massive number of people, the large mass, are the younger voters. And what are the younger voters doing? They're staying home.
Yeah.
They're like me. I don't vote. If you don't give me someone to vote for, I'm not voting.
Right.
It's like saying you got a choice. You can vote for Stalin or you can vote for Hitler. Hey, you got to vote. No, I don't vote. I very rarely vote.
Yeah.
Because of that, not that I don't want to vote. Now, what if we had Republican, Democrat, and none of the above? You'd get everyone to vote. And now,
Exactly.
guess who would win? Who would win a good 75% of the time?
Yeah.
None of the above.
None of the above, yeah.
Right. Now, what are you doing, or how are you going to capture? And I guess the only way that you can sort of assure yourself of a good win is if you get attract all of the younger voters, those that are disenfranchised, and I include myself as a younger voter because I'm only 71 years old. Okay. When I get old, I'll call you. And when they come in and they start voting, then you stand a chance of really overwhelming the ballot box, right? How are you going to do that, or do you disagree with that?
No, I don't disagree with it at all. And we do need younger voters, and actually it's the young voters today that have been awakened to the liberty message. And that's what's at risk. I said that in my opening statement. Liberty is at risk in our country today, and right here in the state of Oklahoma. So how do I do it? I go out and share that message. When I ran for governor 4 years ago in 2010, when I filed for office, although I had already served in the state Senate for 8 years, I only had a 1.5% name ID statewide. I was not known. But because of my message of freedom, limited government, and the things that I hear you talk about on your show on a regular basis, I received 40% of the Republican primary vote in a 4-way race against Mary Fallin. Now, that was pretty impressive, coming from a 1.5 to 40%.
Very, very good. Yeah.
And it's because of the message. My message rings true. Now, here's the difference. I am a grassroots candidate. I am a man of the people. I'm just a regular guy. I'm a worker bee. I own my own businesses for 30 years plus. And it's only been the last 15 years that I have entered into public service. But I've done it for a very noble reason and a very noble cause, and it's the cause we all better get a hold of.
Right.
We got to retain it. We got to restore it. We got to protect it. And so, as I sell this liberty message, it's ringing true to the younger crowd. That's why we see masses of younger people in the last presidential election running to the polls. Now, they got hoodwinked, and we see what we have today. And Joe, I can tell you, the Republican Party is not the answer. The Democrat Party is not the answer.
I agree.
The answer is constitutional conservative values being promoted by whoever believes in them. And that's what I have been doing my entire political career.
You have a message then resonates with, or as George Bush used to say, resonates. What do you say? Not resonates. Resignates. He used to say resonates.
Well, that's my strategy. Yes.
There you go, Rondi. Keep it up, Rondi.
With the younger group, but how do you reach? Most of the younger group are not listening. So no matter what you say is going basically, hate the expression, on deaf ear because no one's listening. How do you get them to listen to say, hey, I really am different, because most of them have tuned out the process altogether? Is there anything special that you're doing?
Well, what I'm doing special is a lot of social media, and I have a social media team. One of them is here with me right now. The one that's leading this, TC, is helping me out immensely on that. He's reaching the young people, and we do that Twitter.
He's a smart guy, too.
Yeah, he is
I
smart.
can vouch for
and
that.
good looking. Look at him.
Yeah.
But the Twitter and Facebook and all kinds of social media that old guys like us may really not understand.
Speak for yourself.
Well, I'm sorry, Joe.
No, he don't understand it either.
Like me and you, Gary. Is that better? Yeah. But Joe, it's the message that truly sells, and when you hear it, it doesn't take you a long time to understand it. It just, that's right. That's what I want, and those are the people that we're bringing in. The federal government having so much influence on our daily activities is so unreasonable, so unconstitutional. It's got to be stopped. And the only way it will be stopped, and when you get someone like me that's bold, that's courageous, I'm fearless, I'm a fighter, I'm tenacious. You get me on the project, I'm not giving up until we get through it. And so the message sells, but you got to have the salesman to do it.
Okay, we have someone on the line. We have is he live now? Jim from Tulsa. Thank you for calling Liberty Talk Radio on 1170 KFAQ. Your question, please.
Hi, Joe. I was listening to both of you, and maybe you should name him Tenacious D, but he just said that. But I agree with both of you. It's not Republican and Democrat. It's liberal versus conservative. And I'm more conservative, libertarian, but I know what liberals give you. They give you Detroit. That's what they give you, and we're heading for the United States of Detroit if we don't stop.
Yeah, and Jim, I'll break it down even further than that. It's really liberty versus tyranny. That's where we're headed today.
I think he hung up.
Jim, are you still there? Well, Jim, thank you for calling, Jim. Okay, thanks for going.
Enough said. I mean, seriously, enough said.
Yeah, okay. You know, here the tough questions that you're going to be asked, I guess, in these debates and whatever. Let me ask you this: if you had to do it over again, would you have included in the three-way debate that you had, would you have included all of the non-front runners?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know, there is no doubt about that.
That pissed me off. Oh, I got me so mad.
And listen, and now I'm trying to be aced out of the next debate, the Channel 6, the CBS.
Really? You are?
Channel 6 and Channel 9.
Why?
I'm not a viable candidate. They forgot, I guess, that I received 95,000 votes last time when I ran for governor. I received 40% of Republican primary.
Right.
But I'm not polling high enough this time, so they're not going to invite me to be in this.
After this program, you'll be a front runner.
Oh, you're not be good friends with the Griffins. You didn't
say them with Christmas
cards. Yeah, folks, you know, when this happens, whether or not you totally agree with Randy or not, you need to voice your opinion that he should be included, okay?
Well, and there's four more.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's seven in this race. There's 7 in this race.
That's right, 7 people.
And
right.
we should all be included. What a Republican primary is the time that you get the message out to Republican voters. Now, the good news is there's a lot of conservative Republican voters in this state. They're not going to get to hear the conservative message if I'm not in it. There's a couple of us in this race that are conservative, and neither one of us have been invited yet. The two that are in it are not the conservative candidates in this race.
Yeah.
Well, Ron Paul was treated like that.
When is that debate supposed to be on Channel 6, Randy?
I think it's June the 8th. Is that right, TC? June 8th, something like that. Yeah. You
know what we should have? We should have a debate right here with everyone who is, you know,
I think it's good.
For everyone, and exclude the two that are being. No, really, we do the opposite. You know, it just hacks me. Let me admit, I ran for U.S. Congress back in 2000. Yeah, 2000 General Electric against. Oh, geez, I don't remember. Doug Dodd, and Doug Dodd was a Democrat. And who was our congressman?
Sullivan.
Jim Sullivan.
Yeah,
Sullivan. Yeah, John Sullivan.
John Sullivan. That was an experience of a lifetime. I won't get into that. Now, what do you think is during the debate, what is the toughest question to answer?
The one you just asked me. I've got an opinion on about everything, and I don't mind sharing it.
Let me give you what I think is one of the toughest questions.
Okay.
I have my opinion. I will not voice it.
Okay.
Right. What about securing our borders?
Sure. What about it?
Yeah.
You know, the one thing that the federal government should do would be to protect us, protect our God-given rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Yet here we are. We have our soldiers all over the world in countries that most of us can't even pronounce, don't know why we're there, don't know if we have any business there, and we're leaving our borders unprotected. The very thing that government is supposed to do, they're not doing it. We're forcing ourselves on other people. So, yeah, I think we should have a good, secured immigration policy, which we don't have.
All right, now, isn't really immigration? This one drives me nuts because if Congress said, "All right, we are going to allow," I forgot the number. Is it 300,000 a year they allow, something like that? Yeah. Whatever. Instead of saying 300, they say, "All right, we're going to allow 500,000." Right? They just changed the 3 to a 5.
Right.
Bingo. We don't have a border problem anymore.
Yeah,
that's all we have to do. Now, at one time, this is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
You know when immigration stopped in America from Mexico? You know when it stopped? Literally stopped dead? During the Depression. And all that tells you is that it's jobs.
Yeah.
Now, how are you going to secure U.S. borders? Our borders are over 9,000 miles long. If we took every soldier, if we took every American and put every American on the border, men, women, children, you wouldn't have enough people.
Oh, I think we ought to build a wall.
Yeah, build a wall.
No, not there. In Washington, around the Beltway.
Now, I've seen the walls that were built in Mexico, the Mexican border.
Sure.
It's ugly. They took beautiful land, places where people kept, and what all that wall has done, in my opinion, is not kept people out, but kept people in. Those people come here, they want to work, they want to do things that, quite frankly, I ain't picking lettuce when it's 108 degrees out.
Yeah.
I don't care how much you convince me, right? They want to do it, make a few bucks, and go home.
Joe, here's the thing. First of all, the federal government really has no authority on immigration policy as such. It's Article 1, Section 8. They have the ability to set naturalization laws. But
good point.
But they're not supposed to tell me. I had a couple different businesses in my lifetime, and the federal government should have no authority to tell me who I can hire from wherever I want to hire them.
Right.
It used to be like that. We had migrant workers, and you know what? Every state in the country, every state in the union had their own depots within their states. It's only when the federal government got involved and started dictating policies, who we could hire, what crops we can grow, when we can plant, when to cultivate. That's when our immigration got screwed up. So we've got to get back to the basics. Government overreach is destroying the very fabric of the principles that our country, this union, was founded on. And I believe, Joe, that we're not going to fix Washington, D.C. I'm not even going to try and fix Washington, D.C. I'm going to do my darndest to protect the sovereignty of the people of the state of Oklahoma. This is where I live. This is where I choose to live, my family. And this is the way our republic was set up, individual sovereign states. These states united, not the big old honkin' United States, to be governed by a national government. That's not what this country's about. We are supposed to be sovereign individual states, free and independent, to compete with each other.
Right.
And we've got to get back to the basics.
Right. What if we knock down the walls, like Reagan said to Gorbachev, remember? knock down this wall, right?
Yeah.
Why don't we do the same
wall.
thing? Instead of having a wall, have little houses, if you will, little offices where they can come in, register. They would all register to come in and
That's the way
whatever,
they used to do it.
and have it. That's all they did.
Yep.
We had no problem at all. And after they worked, many of them the same night they went home.
Right.
And they just came back and forth. There was never a problem.
Never.
But the government got involved, and now all of a sudden
The
we have an
federal
immigration
government got
problem.
involved.
The federal, right?
That's
got
right.
involved. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think? What's your opinion on? I just lost it. You know what? I think my brain is loose.
Look at your notes.
I don't even have any notes.
Military.
I don't even have any notes. No,
This is all ad lib.
Geez, I hate when this happens. When you think about it, it'd be absolutely impossible to ever secure the border.
Yeah.
That would not be possible.
Well, Joe, we probably. I mean, this is going to take a lot deeper discussion
Right.
in the vein that you ask it. But if you're really wanting to secure the borders, you do it with free markets. That's how you do it.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That the pressure. Right. All right. Oh, minimum wage.
The minimum wage is ridiculous. Number one, as a business owner, the government should never tell me how much I have to pay somebody, but the minimum wage isn't really the problem. It is the devaluing of our dollar. It's not worth a hoot today because of government monetary policy, monetizing our money. It's stripping the value out of the money. That's why, okay, we got to have $7, $10 minimum wage, $15 minimum wage. It's because the dollar's not worth anything today. That's the problem.
Yeah, I see. I'm going to give you I shouldn't give you my opinion because this is your show tonight, but the minimum wage is up to the individual.
Absolutely.
The individual determines the minimum wage. If they determine when they're in school to do nothing, smoke pot, do whatever, what I did, then, you shouldn't get paid anything because no one would hire you, right?
Yeah, that's
but if
exactly
you
right.
work hard and you start a job even making $1, $2 an hour, and someone says, this guy's worth it. Listen, I have 2 companies. If a guy comes to me and says, really, if a minority comes to me, for example, and says, Mr. Cristiano, I want to prove to you that you cannot operate without me. That's how valuable I am. Let me work for you for 3 weeks for nothing. Of course, I would pay him, I'll work for nothing. I would put him on a payroll.
Sure.
So prove it to me, right?
Right.
If I did it today, I would be arrested. I'd be thrown in jail. Right?
Yeah.
They close my company down. Right? So what do I tell the poor minority kid who wants to prove himself to me? Get lost. Hit the streets.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, but all right.
Very true.
So you're not for let the free market.
Free market. I mean,
okay.
You can't force a business owner to pay somebody more than what they're worth. That's
Right.
my decision to make.
Okay. All right. Comment really quick. We have 1 minute. We have 30 seconds.
Okay.
Common Core.
Common Core is a horrible piece of legislation because it is government control of our educational system. Should be repealed, and I think we did it just this week in the state legislature. I don't support Common Core, never have. No Child Left Behind, Race to the Top, they're all bad. Federal
Who's
government.
responsible for a child's education?
Mom and Dad.
That's right. Okay, he got the answer right, folks.
He got the answer
Randy,
right.
listen, we have
Ding,
about
ding,
30
ding,
seconds.
ding, ding,
He
ding.
wins $1,000.
With that, you get a cold cup of coffee. Randy, I'm going to leave. Let the clock wind down with
Sure.
you. Please tell the our audience how they can support you, what they can do, and whatever. Okay.
I appreciate that. And thanks for inviting me to be with you, Joe. I've thoroughly enjoyed this evening. I want to come back.
Please do.
Go to randybrogdon.com. I need support. My money comes from grassroots. My money comes from individuals. I don't get money from the tall building crowd, the chambers, like my 2 primary opponents do. You'll not see on my ethics reporting money that comes in vast sums of shadow secret money. All of my donors are listed on the FEC, and I'm proud of that. So randybrogdon.com. Follow me on Twitter.
Okay,
Facebook.
folks, thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening to Liberty Talk Radio. We want to thank our sponsors for the financial support, and we'd like to thank you for listening in. You can further the cause of liberty by recommending this program to your friends and let us hear from you. So with this is Joe Cristiano, your host for Liberty Talk Radio. Stay well, stay tuned.